I'm going to get straight into this one and then share my thoughts. Um, because I tend to pontificate too much before doing this. I'm just going to go straight into it and read the report. This is from the Times, and it's dated the just got the date here. The report's by David Wood. That's with me at the end. Police unit had Nazi themed poster on the wall. A Nazi themed poster of skinheads displaying swastikas was fixed to a wall by police officers working in a racist unit at the Dorset Force misconduct hearing was told. An off-duty PC allegedly called a black motorist C star N, while another is accused of humiliating a junior colleague to the point where he felt suicidal. Inspector Nicholas Mantle, PC Mark Jordan Gill, PC Michael Laufer, PC Matthew Young, and former PC Paul Perdrissat allegedly fosters a culture of racist, misogynistic, and homophobic behaviour while serving in Dorset Police's Force Support Group base in Bournemouth, the hearing was told. The unit deals with outbreaks of public disorder in the town centre, so I imagine that's antisocial behaviour and so on. They're accused of posting pornographic, misogynistic, and racist messages in a WhatsApp group called the Real FSG. Four officers attended the hearing, but all five denied the allegations of gross misconduct. During an evidence session yesterday, an officer, known only as Witness A, said that he was incredibly shocked to discover the Nazi poster pasted to the office wall. Perdrissat, who since left the force was described as the alpha male and said to be behind most of the offensive comments and bullying. Witness A also described being in a patrol van with Jordan Gill, who allegedly shouted racist abuse at a motorist. Guy Ladenburg, representing Jordan Gill, said there was humour among the team but did not amount to bullying, racism, or sexism. Well, you know, who gets to define what that humour is? I think they're getting pretty damn close to the edge. Mark Lee Morgan, representing Dorset Police, said that the alleged misconduct related to behaviour between 2018 and 2021. The hearing was told that Mantle, Jordan Gill, Laufer, and Young were also guilty of gross misconduct because they failed to report the behaviour. The hearing continues. I think there's a lot of stuff there. In this particular case, I'm tempted to say no smoke without fire. Now, of course, there should be due process. Of course, evidence should be presented. An example of that would be screenshots of some of these messages on the WhatsApp group. But I think this is just one example of many. Quite honestly, I think a lot of forces right now are rotten with bad apples. And I don't think it's good enough to say, oh, well, the majority of police officers aren't like this. That's not good enough. Because the majority are either complacent or silent. So it's not good enough to say most police officers aren't behaving this way because the culture is there. In this case, 2018 to 2021, and one of them is no longer in force. I actually checked out his Facebook page, and I don't know whether it's a cover or I don't know whether he may actually be innocent, but it's actually full of charity fundraisers, including one for refuge, of all things. But to be quite honest, abusive people are incredibly manipulative. So I wouldn't at all be surprised if that's a cover for his behaviour. Oh, look what a nice guy I am doing this charity work. Of course, it's ongoing and they haven't been found guilty, so I should add that caveat. But I mean, there's a lot of stuff there. I find it hard to believe that would just all be hot air and it's all just made up. Um, the fact that a disciplinary hearing is being undertaken and these allegations are being made, there has to be a basis for that. I think if there was no basis for it, it wouldn't even get to that point, given the history of police covering up their own abuse in this country. The Metropolitan Police is absolutely rotten with it, and I think other forces are as well. Here's the problem. When the police are telling the public to come forward to report crime, especially, for example, report crimes of a sexual nature, how can women trust the police when there's such a culture of misogyny? How can ethnic minorities trust the police when there's a culture of racism? Dorset is a rural county. It's a predominantly white county. So could there be something in that? These are questions that need to be asked. Um, and it's a situation where people shouldn't have to get on the defensive and say, "Oh, I'm not anti-police." No, I'm not anti-police, but I hate people who abuse their power, whether that be police officers or politicians. My next video is going to be about politicians in this context. Stay tuned for that. But it's disgusting. I do think there are people in forces up and down England and Wales, probably Scotland and Northern Ireland as well, who think that the uniform protects them. That has to change. I think that the employment process, the recruiting process, I should say, should be a lot more rigid. When I tried to join the Royal Navy Reserves, they were pretty rigid, and they should be. I'm not begrudging that. Um, I got rejected because of my depression, which is, I haven't spoken much about that, but the point I'm making here is if the armed forces can have a rigid recruiting process, why can't the police? I see no valid reason for the bad apples to slip through the gaps this way, as they seem to do a lot. And we're not talking about something that happened in the 1990s or the 1980s. This is 2018 to 2021. That's very recently. Um, so I think several things have to happen. Firstly, the recruiting process needs to be far more rigid. I think police chiefs up and down the country need to adopt a zero tolerance approach. They really. Officers who behave this way should have nowhere to hide. I think there should be a safe way for whistleblowers to report on colleagues who are behaving this way without fearing consequences, i.e., getting it coming back to them. I think that WhatsApp groups should be monitored. I think that officers found guilty of abusing their position, not only should they lose their job, they should be arrested. They should really, really feel the weight of consequences. Because I don't think this is just a few outlying cases. I think that the police are rotten with it right now. And like I say, it's not good enough to say the majority aren't involved. If you have, let's say, just as a scenario, you have 1,000 police officers. Let's say 50 of them are corrupt, racist, misogynistic bullies, right? And 950 are innocent. Now, if those 950 don't speak out and they enable that culture, then they're part of the problem. They're fostering the culture, even if they're not personally engaging in it. That's why this is a problem. Um, it really disgusts me, and I think it should concern the public, because I think we've a real problem in this country. On one hand, we have teenage gangs running wild, doing what they want. Um, I've spoken many times about our soft justice system. I think the sentencing council live on another planet, but we should have a situation where the public and the police are working together now. If the police will not tackle their own corruption effectively, and okay, there is a hearing going on here, so it's better than nothing. But I think there is a culture of complacency. I mean, the fact this WhatsApp group was allowed to flourish, the fact that they feel complacent. One of the reports on this happens to be the Times, but the Daily Mail had a picture of them. Two of those accused are skinheads themselves. I mean, they're bald guys. Clearly they've been to the gym, all muscle. Um, and image alone is not guilt, but it's not too much of a stretch to see that there is a sort of mindset there. We could do what we want. Um, I think corrupt police officers, it's not good enough to put them on desk duty. They need to really know that there needs to be a situation where it's merciless. Basically, the consequences for abusing power should be merciless. Of course, there should be due process. I'm not talking about witch hunts, but I think that, in the Metropolitan Police alone, there are something in the region of, I think it's between 800 and 1,000 ongoing investigations. Now, that is chronic. Um, this thing about WhatsApp groups that happened in the Metropolitan Police as well. Two young women who'd been murdered, two sisters. The officers involved in that case were found sharing very crude, disrespectful posts about that case. Disgusting. They did get sacked. So it's not a case that the officers who are doing this are never held to account, but I think that they shouldn't be in the force in the first place. That's the question. Why are they getting into the force in the first place? Mark Rowley of the Met has said that he cried, when he saw the scale of the challenges facing the Met. He says he's doing what he can, but the procedures are beyond his power. I don't. I think that raises a lot of questions. If the Metropolitan Police Commissioner doesn't have the power to lay down the law with these corrupt officers, that's a serious problem. The independent panels that are supposedly responsible for recruiting, I don't know if they're fully independent or not, but it just sounds like a blame game basically. Meanwhile, these thugs in uniform are laughing. Um, I think there's a complacency. I think they need to be purged, punished. I think they need to be treated like common criminals because they clearly have no business wearing a uniform. This isn't unique to Britain, of course. Police forces all over the world have these problems, and by no means are British police the worst. In Australia, recently, the New South Wales police, a senior officer tasered a 95-year-old woman in a care home. Apparently, she was wielding a knife. Now, any officer that cannot restrain a 95-year-old woman without using a taser clearly isn't fit to be in the police. It's understandably provoked a lot of anger, and he's facing manslaughter charges. I hope he gets a prison sentence. That is absolutely insane. The woman had dementia. You know, it's insane. She's died of the as a side effect of the tasering. So I hope he gets a jail sentence because there has to be a message sent out. And I get sick and tired of this idea that the training needs to improve. Well, common sense needs to improve. What sort of brainless thug cannot see that you don't taser a 95-year-old woman? Apparently, he's very distressed by the incident. Distressed because he's going to be punished, or distressed that the woman's died. I think it's more likely the former. Um, it makes my blood boil, to be quite honest. This sort of abuse of power. And I'm not anti police, I'm pro police, but I think that officers who abuse of power, the good officers need to stop making excuses for them and coming out with this, oh, well, it's not all of us line. That's not good enough. Not good enough. If you're taking that line, then you're guilty of trivializing it. You're guilty of downplaying the problem because this is not just one or two individuals. In the case of Britain, David Carrick and Wayne Couzens were extreme examples, but I do not believe that they are just outliers, where the police can say, oh, well, they were extreme cases. I think there's a culture of misogyny in the Met. I think that's undeniable. Um, and clearly it is going into other forces as well. Dorset Police is a very different force from the Metropolitan Police. It's a much smaller rural force, but clearly it's permeating there as well. So, in conclusion, this is a very serious problem because with common criminals, they could be arrested by the police when the very people supposed to be protecting the public, upholding the law, and setting an example are themselves engaging in thuggish criminal behaviour. What sort of message does that send out? You would think in this day and age when there's so much focus on diversity that this would be something of the past. But clearly, it's a problem, and I think police chiefs need to prove that they're taking real action against this. And I think one of the fundamental things is tackling the culture of complacency.